All right, sweet. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Dojo. We've got Ray, Sean, Nathmar. My name is Carmen here. We're going to zoom through sort of the events of the last few weeks, and hopefully you guys can give us your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know what you think we should talk about next, and we'll sort of entertain those ideas. So for today's little rundown in the dojo, the first thing I want to do is cover the 12 days of Veve, or 12 days of Veve. I keep mispronouncing it. We'll start right at the top corner. Nathmar, what do you think?
It was fun. I mean, I think we tried to cover it last time. Slightly underwhelming, but I mean, I still picked up a few good items. A lot of PC stuff. I did pick up multiples of first Deadpool. So let's watch. I'm wearing my Deadpool shirt today, but so yeah, I picked up a few of Deadpool, but not a lot because I'm not too sure how much they'll increase in the future. I picked up a Labbit and what else? I missed a couple of the other ones. I did get a Coca-Cola. I bought it from somebody within the group. So mostly a lot of PC stuff. I didn't really go hard or pick a lot after market. Other Voltron, I did pick up a few, but not hard as Mr. Ray there. So I picked up I picked a couple. So Voltron, I think has potential, but I'll probably add as we go along. I'm not gonna add like 20 right away because the prices seem to be fluctuating. So I want to kind of try to get deals instead of jumping in hard.
All right, Ray, what do you got?
Hey, I follow the same sentiment with Nothmar. I think as an investor in the collectibles, not super impressed. However, as an investor in Veve, I think I kind of hit on this last week. I loved it because this is more major companies buying into Veve as the source of their NFT market. So you've got the U.S. government putting out round two of postal stamps. You've got Coca-Cola, major you know Fortune 500 company, rolling out their NFTs using Veve. You've got Marvel using their platforms to promote Groot and all the other things they came out with. So you're seeing again, like as we push into 2022, and I don't, we're not jump ahead here, but as you look about, hey, who's going to be able to remain strong in that NFT circle? Well, look at who the big companies are starting to promote, and that's so I think as an investor in Veve as a whole, I loved it. I feel real comfortable with where they're going. I love the companies that kind of came in, but as a PC investor, I wasn't too thrilled. However, I'm a huge Groot fan. Love Christmas, so I did score me a very very cheap common Groot just to keep in the showroom.
Nice, Sean. What do you think?
Same for me because I'm kind of like a more of an investor, I'd say, on the platform, and I would say that I went just I got a Deadpool set, got a Coca-Cola common. Um, I think they released a lot of good stuff that I think was good for the 12 days of Eevee. And I think it was great for business. Like you guys said, they had a ton of great brands come in, like Coca-Cola. Even though those weren't the first NFTs, they still had like the first, like commercialized large minting NFTs for sale that a lot of people could buy. Coca-Cola is huge. I mean, they have as big of a market cap as Disney. So I mean, companies that are signing on to Veve are enormous. And the fact that during the same year, literally during the exact same time as the 12 days of Eevee, you had Recur having all of its stuff going on, and Matrix, all of its NFTs going on, and the Spider-Man NFT came out from AMC, and like it's spicy stuff going on right now. I mean, you can go to bed and wake up 12 hours later and have a completely different portfolio. I mean, it's freaking insane.
Yeah, man, now that you guys are talking about Coca-Cola again, I'm like, maybe I should go back and grab something. Because I got the rare on the drop, but flipped it. I paid whatever it was in the drop, and then I sold it, I think at like 180, and then I think it fell down. I think it's at like 140 right now. Maybe I haven't looked at it in however long. What did you guys think of the Deadpool Christmas sweater thing? Do you think it mattered? Do you think it helped? Do you think it was a swing and a miss?
I think it just gives them an opportunity in the future to do one that's, like more classic, like Liefeld style. So I think they always know what they're doing. I think they always have like intentions beyond intentions. So like if we release a Christmas Deadpool now, later on we can release, a super dope normal Deadpool. Everyone will be like, oh, well, maybe we can count this one as the first appearance. Then everybody will have 2 Deadpools instead of 1.
Yeah, I saw a lot of buzz about the sweater, like whether or not it can come off. Maybe they're going to remove it. And I don't know, as an investor, it puts us in these weird spots, right? Because it becomes way more speculative because we're like, well, are we going to be able to manipulate these things in ways that we don't really understand? Like, they have all the cards in their hands. They know what they can do. They're ahead of us. But
Right.
what do we think? Where do we think that's going to land is a whole nother issue.
Yeah, I mean, for me too, like I think it came to heart what you mentioned, I think in one of the chats, I think it was you, that, you said, hey, investing in some of these holiday NFTs might be a good investment for next year's holiday. So I was thinking, oh man, next year, I'm gonna have like a holiday Christmas NFT sale, and I have like 100 NFTs of like Deadpools and Groots, available. So I was thinking that's my goal. I'm gonna probably start stacking some of these for next holiday, or for the next 2 or 3 holidays, right?
And you never know, like these things might get super cheap around summer. People might forget about Christmas items, and even if they do go up in the next couple months, they might, fall back down in summer months. You never know.
And that's true. That we can start playing the weather cycles, right? So like not just like, hey, what's hot every time. Like here we can play, hey, in the summertime these winter NFTs are gonna be cheaper, and then but you gotta have them ready and start selling when it starts getting colder, right? So I think there's a lot now as an NFT vendor, you probably have a lot more different opportunities.
Yeah, I think another interesting piece is going to be to see, hey, because Groot, Deadpool, we haven't seen a movie or them in like a popular like on screen appearance in a year or 2. I don't know when the last Guardians of the Galaxy was.
Also,
But
Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm seeing a lot of
there's
people
a new
posting
one
it
coming
coming
out,
out.
right?
Yep,
So I'm
coming
wondering,
out.
as the movie picks up steam, NFTs pick up steam, everyone's like, well, we see it in the comic market. Those books skyrocket when we get that trailer, right? Well, we're going to see the same thing in the NFT verse as we start seeing speculators say, well, what's that first appearance of Groot that everyone's going to want once Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out and it's being promoted? Do we see another pick there? That's one thing I'm kind of interested to see how it
Hey,
affects the market.
when that Spider-Man movie just came out, and when the trailer dropped like a week before it came out, all my Spider-Man comics went up in value. They all went up. Like in the
Absolutely.
NFT realm, like they all got a bump. I mean, even Miles Morales got a bump.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting paying attention to the seasonal cycle of all of this, and trying to remember, right? I think that's one of the reasons why we're all doing this right now, is it helps us remember for next year, because immediately the first thing I started thinking about once we moved from like November into December was, man, what was 2020 like for all of those super early people, because they probably have a sense of how all this might go. And then on top of that, anybody who buys and sells collectibles anyway has additional insight, because you guys have been doing this for so long. You know what comic book sales look like this time of year. You know what they look like in January, right? So I think paying attention to that is really going to get super, super important. I will say that the week as a whole bummed me out a little bit, because I felt like there were just some filler things that were tossed in there. And this is it's a me problem. It's not a Vivi problem, but I felt spoiled with maybe the Disney golden moments, to be honest with you. And then we get this 12 Days of Christmas, and we get like the X-Men comic, and then we get the 007 sort of a little too late drop that's like this case. And those sort of things, it just felt a little inauthentic.
The Captain America musical, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm also just salty too, because I didn't get any drop during the 12 days of Eve, so that's probably why too. I'm not too enthused, but I guess there was a lot. Now that we rattled off like all of the drops that came up, there was a lot of drops, right? So I mean, I guess, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, the Mickey, the Steamboat Willie was definitely a big one, right? So, and the Spider-Man at the end, the 252, that was a crazy one. So there
Yeah,
was a significant amount of varied like drops to keep us off guard. So it's not just all comics, but it's definitely a bunch of other products. So it's kind of, I see a lot of potential. They'll probably start like dropping like other related products like Pokemon's, that's not comic related, right? Or more Voltrons. So I
I
think,
think if their goal was to bring money into the app, they did a good job.
yep.
That's kind of how I look at it. If their goal was to bring cash flow into the platform, whatever they were looking at to make that happen, they clearly succeeded.
Yeah.
yeah, they burned so much Omi that week compared to other weeks.
Yeah.
They had that.
There was a lot of secondary market sales, like an insane amount of people had been buying for that amount of Omi to be burned.
Yeah, I follow Ecomi Burn on Instagram that publishes all of the burn numbers, and that the week of the 12 days of Vivi, it said that 1.4 billion tokens were burned. And then to put that in perspective, this past week it was 291 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at, a 5-6 times the amount, right? Five times the amount of what we're normally used to. And I think a quick takeaway from this too is anybody who's scrambling for MCP, really, this is a great time to grab those because everything is pretty cheap, right? You can grab the Groot set for less than 200 gems now, I think, because of where everything sits. That's 6 points. The stamps are pretty inexpensive right now.
I think people are shifting towards like almost like investing more instead of like building sets too. It seems like today and yesterday, it seems like everybody's buying really expensive shit.
Yeah. So does here's what I'll say. Does anybody have any other final comments about the 12 days? Because that's a nice segue into our next subject. All right. The next topic that we're going to discuss has a lot to do with how you're going to spend money. So money well spent is now becoming more of a concern because there's so much more to buy, right? I think this time last year, there wasn't that much to buy. So you really, and it wasn't that expensive. So it really, you didn't have to think about this too much. But I'm seeing on a lot of Facebook groups, a lot of those message boards, people are asking the same thing. I have 1,000 gems. What do I buy? I have 500 gems. What do I buy? So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is just hot take. And I know the market's in flux now. I think what we were going to say maybe a week ago is different than what we're going to say right now. Yeah. But if you had 300 gems, what would you buy? And then if you had 1,000 gems, what would you buy? All right, we're going to start with Nathmar.
Oh, man, this is tough. So for 300 gems, I mean, you can either get one of like a comic that has a low edition count. So get one of those Sean's like UF4s, low editions. Or my alternate, if you wanted to get a lot of copies, I would get probably a lot of X-Men 129s or ASM 14s, get like 10 copies of that, 10 or more. And load up on those two. So I think those are some of the things that I would look for that kind of amount. Or a Wonder Woman, which I did recently. So Wonder Womans have dropped a little bit, so I would definitely get a Wonder Woman collectible.
Now, what about $1,000? You get 1,000 gems.
1,000 gems, I would split it up, get like a few Spideys, maybe uncommon or commons, and then also still get like load up on 10, 20 comics, of something that I think will appreciate, going back to ASM 14 or X-Men 129. That's affordable. Or get a few more UF4s, or maybe get another Fantastic Four 1 or Daredevil ones, get a couple more of those.
Nice. Ray, what about you?
So I'm going to cheat a little bit on the 300 and go a little bit over. But to be fair, Nathmar had the Wonder Woman, and that's right over there too. So I'm going to call it even. I am a believer in a rising tide kind of raises all boats, right? And so I'm going Common Spider-Man as a huge pick in the next 3 months. I think I look at Todd. I don't know if we'll talk about this later, but Todd's blown up. We're talking what 6K, right north of 5.5K, and now we're seeing
Oh man.
now we're seeing all the normal Batmans like Todd Madeira, the '06 Batman. All those are now doubling in price, hitting that 1K threshold. Now Spider-Man, that UR has jumped up from 2.1 to 4.1K in the
Wow.
past 4
That's
days is what I'm
huge.
tracking on my Excel spreadsheet. But
Wow.
what hasn't moved and has actually kind of gone down is common Spider-Man FA, which we know has the potential to jump because it's already done it once.
Yes.
So I have a feeling that we see money flow into that common to bring it up kind of in line with the other Spider-Mans that we've seen already double, but maybe the back end hasn't caught up yet. So that's my 300 pick. The only other one I would probably consider right now, I think Marvel 1 comic is a pretty much a steal at like the 169, 160 range. It fluctuates. Saw it at 170 today, but we know it has the potential again to hit 300. And we talked about that cycle, so it's flowing out. I bet it comes back in. So I think Marvel number 1's another big pick. Looking at 1K, I think I'm a fan of Elsa. I think Nothmar's idea is probably one of my favorites. I love splitting because at 1K I'm looking to diversify to try and catch two. One of the two probably raises up. If you get one, then you're putting a lot of your putting a lot of your eggs in that one basket. But I think Elsa, that golden moment's going to see some upswing probably in the near term, similar to how you're seeing some of the smaller, like not smaller, but Superman. A lot of those DC side are all increasing. I think we'll probably see Elsa catch a ride at some point soon on the Disney golden moment train.
Sean, what about you?
300, it's actually a perfect number right now. You can pick up one of each of the big 3 common comics, so you could start your portfolio with $300. You get an MC one, a Fantastic Four one, and an ASM one, and that's like right around $300. Give or take $50. So if you're new to the platform, $300 is a good place to start at. And you're guaranteed if you get bored of them or you hate it, you're almost guaranteed not to lose money there. The past year has shown that they're almost some of the safest bets on the platform. They've been pretty statistically up almost every month straight through. And for $1,000, for a risk, I'd probably just buy $1,000 of Common Storms.
Nice.
I thought, that has crossed my mind.
That has like a potential of doubling or tripling your money in a single month.
Yep, I like that.
Yeah, it's funny, and I'll use the Storm example and the Elsa example. It really depends on what your goals are, right? I think that's the other thing, and it's just like investing in general anyway. When you're buying, and I consider myself new to buying and selling comic books, and I started doing it like 5 years ago, right? So I remember that learning curve of buying certain books and not really knowing why I was buying them. I didn't have a plan for them. I didn't know when I was going to sell them. And you lose a lot of money when you don't have a plan, and I think everybody's plan in a lot of ways is different. So if you are, I've said this before in our group chat, like I'm a 3-way crap better. I'll bet an 11 at the craps table sometimes, right? So I might want to throw $1,000 at Storm because that's just the kind of lunatic I am sometimes. At the same time, if you want to stabilize $1,000 and you want to put it into something that probably won't go down all that much, that Elsa is a really great cornerstone to an investment portfolio. Because she, out of everybody, even like R2 has kind of jumped around, C3PO's jumped around. She's pretty much steady at $1,000 all day long. But so for me, if I had $300, I just bought it today, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. But I bought the Pitbull hoverboard
Nice.
to just round out my set. I'm bullish on those right now. But I've got a different setup because I've got everything that I could want. So I think more Sean, to your point, if I'm a brand new person to this platform and I just want to get something to stabilize where I am and at very low risk, I would go those 3 comic books. I think MC1, ASM1, and Fantastic Four 1 is a great move. And then if you want to get like, if you want to reach, probably picking up a Storm just to give yourself some really crazy growth potential, because I think that has a ton of upswing because we haven't really seen much yet. I know she's moved already today. Like
it can't go down. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's like it can't go to 20. A whale won't allow that. If they see it going to the 20s, they're going to buy freaking 500 of them if they have to.
It's
right
now.
Right. Like it was like 33 a few days ago, and now I think it's 45, 47. Right. So that's
because guys like Randy and stuff talk about Storm. You know, they bring up Storm, and I think people see that they bring them up, and people see that the prices were low, and now I think there are people with money that pay attention to Storm, and when I do see them hit 30, they disappear for some reason. So it makes you wonder if there's probably a list of people out there that are like, 30 Storms are good.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, they're probably gonna release more X-Men collectibles in the future, right? Imagine down the line they have Sebastian Shaw, they have Colossus, they have etc., and all of them are breaking $100 and up. They're gonna look at like, oh, who else don't I have? Oh, Storm is there, right? And who else? Wolverine, Gambit, whoever, right? You have to buy Storm. Storm is one of the key members of the X-Men. There's no way you cannot have Storm, especially at this price point. And after seeing like how high some of these like collectibles go up, I think it's a good entry point, right? So
yeah, and when they do Wolverine or Black Panther, I mean that's a natural tie-in to Storm. Yep. Either one of those characters would be a natural tie-in to Storm, and everybody would buy Storm once one of those characters comes out.
Yep. Oh, and also your hoverboards. I was thinking about that too. Somebody brought it up that you're right. They might have utility for those hoverboards when the metaverse, Veveverse, like opens up. People have to get somewhere other than the DeLorean, right?
Yeah, I think everybody's really bullish on the DeLorean, and initially I was like, I get it. But what's weird is I don't know if I'm a business and I release the DeLorean that can't move and the DeLorean that can move. I don't know. Like I feel like you're going to be able to drive both of them. Like maybe I'm wrong, but I would feel some kind of way if I bought the DeLorean whose doors didn't open because of how it was initially released or whatever, and then I get it and I still can't. It kind of rubs me the wrong way. But the hoverboards, I think in any video game I've ever played, there's always been that, like, yes, there's a large transport vehicle that you use, but there's almost always this like stopgap sort of speed utility that you use.
Yeah, like in Halo, they have the Warthogs, and then the side one is the Ghost.
Yeah, you have these little things that just zip around. So I'm here for that. I think, again, if you're looking for a place to go, like to start with 300, though, I think the comics are probably better for now, but who knows? And then for $1,000, man, asked me this a week ago, I would have been like, oh, $1,000. See, maybe you can squeeze 12 and do a Joker, an uncommon Batman Joe 97, and a FA Harley, and you're
not anymore.
Not anymore. I would have said Superman, but not anymore. You're gonna need about double for that.
Yeah. So probably if I had the 1,000 gems and I was looking really to make moves, I would probably go those 3 comics again. I would go with a Wonder Woman, and
Wonder Woman's solid. Honestly, out of everything everybody said here, I think all 4 of us would agree that if you buy Wonder Woman now, it will be worth more in a month.
Yes. Yep. And so that would put me at 300. Wonder Woman's 370, so that puts me at 670. If I had to just grab another 320 out of the air, if Storm drops to $32, you buy 10 of them and you hold on tight.
Nice,
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
That'd be a good diversified portfolio. So at least on one of those you're going to hit.
Yeah. The only issue though, I think too, and this goes back to having a plan, is, and I've learned this the hard way. I think everybody has at some point. If you are planning to sell a Disney product, if you're planning to sell that Disney IP short term, you have to take into consideration that 8.5% rip. And it when you realize that you bought an Elsa for $1,000 and you're waiting to unload it, and then it gets to 1,100, and then you're like, oh man, it's $100 up, I'm gonna sell it, and then you realize you really didn't put too much in your pocket, and you tied up this money for no good reason.
You get the
And you got to factor in buying it back. So like say it goes up to 2,000, or I mean it goes down to 800. Not up to 2,000. Say it goes down to 800. Yeah, sure, it's cheaper, but you're still going to end up paying 8.5% of 800. So I mean, you're still going to end up paying what, $70? You're still going to end up paying another $70 on top of that original 8.5%, which was 885. So that's $155. That's a lot of extra gems just to be disappearing if you do it a lot.
Yeah. So if you're going with Disney, I think the plan should always be probably like at least. I'm making this number up. I have no reason for some reason this number makes sense in my head. If you're buying a Disney product, you probably want to hold it for 3 months. See, that seems to be like a fair cycle at this point, where we start to see these crazy shifts happen. DC stuff, indie stuff, at 2.5%, you can kind of rock and roll a little bit. But any Disney IP, you better hold for a while. Anything else? So anything that we didn't cover with money well spent, where you guys see some opportunities that maybe people aren't taking advantage of?
Hey, I'd say anybody that buys any of like the big like 8-ish comic books that are out right now.
Oh no, he froze.
That everybody can agree on. Like I would say, buy the lowest mint you can right now. Like I don't want to tell people how to spend their money, but put one really low mint comic of one of the big comics in your collection. Just hold on to that baby for a while.
Yep.
Oh, that's so expensive though, Sean. I've been doing that lately. It's
just one.
Expensive.
Just get one of them.
No, I think it'll pay off. I think definitely that strategy is gonna pay off down the road.
No, it's just a long game. You have to be patient because first of all, the big money has to come in. You have to have people in here that have, 700,000 gems in their bank account. And until there's a website and until somebody can buy 180,000 gems at a time, we're not going to see those low mint sell for the potential that they're worth, but they will eventually.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think especially, I think this is going to come later. Once MTL hits and we start seeing some of the bigger comic investors come in, what are they going to want to be able to display? The 9.8 equivalents. And Sean, I think you're right there. And honestly, you're the whole reason I bought my sub 400 UF4. Real pumped about that one. So
that's what's up. There you go. Yeah, Herb has a 227. Like when I was talking to him, and he was like, "I'm just gonna get it," and he got a 227, and that baby's worth it's potentially worth 10 racks right now.
Nice.
That's crazy.
Silly. Yeah,
that's a whole investment on the platform.
Yeah.
Erased by a single purchase.
Sorry, guys, I cut out.
No
that's insane. A single purchase.
I think that's definitely got a lot of potential down the road. So
it's just we got to wait for the big dog money and the MTL. Like if you can't purchase 500,000
all right, so I missed
in 3 minutes, then the rich guys aren't interested because it's embarrassing to purchase 500 gems at a time to them. It's absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like they would never sit there and click 500 gems, 500 gems, 500 gems. They would never do that. They're going to wait until you can be like 800,000 gems. Sure.
Yeah.
Because those guys do exist. And, a lot of people don't believe it, but
all right,
they will exist.
Yeah.
Am I still lagging a lot?
Looking good to me.
Yeah, good.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's jump to our speculations for 2022. We've got MTL. We got where we see Omi going. We got this idea of renting. We got the Veveverse. And then we also have an AMA on Friday. That was just announced. So we don't have to cover all those things, but I just wanted to sort of get them out of the way. We'll go backwards this time. Sean, what are your speculations for 2022?
For 2022, I see low mints mooning. Like, I'm talking people that have like first 10s or first 25s, maybe even first 50s of like key items. I see once MTL goes through and there's kind of like a little wavering due to some money leaving the platform, more people will come in, more customers will come in, institutional investors will come in, YouTubers come in, Instagrammers come in, advertisers, marketing comes in. You're going to have Ethereum whales come in, BTC bros come in. You're going to have all the people coming in that can cash out now because they don't got to wait. Big money doesn't like to wait. And if it's liquid, they're going to come. And if the biggest brands are here, they're going to come. And what do all the rich people want? They're going to want the nicest stuff. They don't want crap shit. They want to be able to show every single person that their stuff's the best. And I think once we go through the wavering market of the transfer into the new era of Veve, we're going to end up on the other side with really, really expensive items.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the new money coming in, I think will change everything, because you had made a great point in the very beginning about the storms. Like, a whale just won't let a storm drop to $20. They'll just buy more because it's what's another $2,000 to someone who, you know, has passive income of $2,000 a day, right? Like, it's nothing. It's nothing
just dollar cost
crazy.
averaging.
So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for sure. Ray, what do you think?
I think we see comics finally start to hit some real big highs, especially some of the Silver Age ones. I think once we see MTL, once we see the showroom start to allow us to actually display the comics on the wall, which is really one of the things I really want to see on the AMA that's discussed. As it was discussed last AMA that they're going to prioritize it. Where are they at now a month later? I think that, you know, all of the complaints that we see in these big comic groups of, well, it's all monopoly money. Well, can't say that anymore. I think the YouTubers that we know are starting to come over. You're going to see the big YouTubers. They can't ignore it at that point. The returns are too good. So I see like, again, FF50, UF4, some of those like right there on the cusp of A-tier comics, and then FF1, ASM1, hopefully AF15 if it ever comes. I think we start to see those bigger comics really rocket up there to where we see some of the other collectibles. I also think Omi wise, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of that in 2022. I think that if I'm a newer investor and it's, do I invest in Omi or the collectibles, I'm probably going the collectibles and the comics. I see a bigger return on investment in 2022 there. I think that Omi, certainly, I mean, I'm going to have enough to make sure I hit the tiers. I want to see what the tiers are. You know, I want to make sure I have the preferential input into the lottery tickets and whatnot. I want to make sure I have that secured.
Right.
And we're talking return on investment. I still haven't seen enough in the white paper to justify Omi seeing kind of the ridiculous increases that we've seen in collectibles. And I think that we start to continue to see, once that big money comes in with Storm and whatnot, I mean, you're going to start to see some real easy 3, 4, 5, 10x, you know, over the next year. And I'm not a huge buy into Omi right now, though long term I'm bullish on it, but I think I'm going to tend more towards the collectibles and the comics for 2022.
And to interject on my last point to what I was saying that connects to what you're saying with the comics, and possible, you know, we can't guarantee, but possible good chances of bigger money coming in and more liquidity coming in. Comic burning.
Yeah,
absolutely. The fact that, I mean, when rap videos and punk videos and rock videos started getting big on MTV and VH1, what did rich people do with $100 bills? They crumpled them up and burned them. They threw them in the trash. They rolled around on them. What do you think's going to happen with comics?
Yep,
they're going to burn those babies.
Yep,
they're going to post videos of being like, I just burned 733 comics. Woo!
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine Marvel 1, if they burn, you know, 20K and we're down to 40,000. I mean, you're talking about taking, you know, if a whale takes out 20, 30% of the supply once we see comics able to be
Crazy.
burned. If we see that, I mean, it's going to be astronomical.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I in 2022, I'm going to have enough on me to hit the tiers once we kind of see that final plan. But then I'm going to be leaning as an investment more towards the collectibles and the comics.
Agreed.
Nothmar, what do you think?
I think I mean I'm keeping it simple. Definitely the keys, the big keys, are going to start differentiating themselves like probably this year. So all these FF1, DD1, MC1, they're gonna skyrocket. I think at least I don't want to go crazy, but at least I'd like to see them hit 200 to 300 probably this year, maybe more.
Oh, yeah.
So at the bare minimum, and then copies are gonna dry up. So always monitor the count of comics and see if they're dropping as they get scarcer. It's going to be harder. Prices are probably going to go up if demand continues. So I think the number of available comics is going to disappear. Same with collectibles. First appearance of collectibles, definitely. Some of these key characters like Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Joker, they're all gonna go over 1K. Probably the next step, maybe hit 2K. It's possible. So I think that's definitely the possibility for this year.
Yeah, I think we all
Nice.
agree that comics are going up.
I was trying to be conservative. So I'm just saying 200, $300, but I think it can go to a lot more. It can go to 400, 500, maybe even 1,000 if the right demand, if a lot more collectors finally join and they say, "Oh shoot, there's a Fantastic Four 1 for $200." The cheapest Fantastic Four, I saw somebody sell a 0.5 for $10,000 in YouTube the other day. You cannot get anything even close to $1,000. So at $200, $100, buy like 2 or 3 of them. Inventory's gonna disappear.
What happens when one of the comics with a lower count, like 30K, like Daredevil or Fantastic Four, or not Fantastic Four, but Ultimate Fallout 4? What happens when somebody burns 5K of those? Not just one person, but over the course of a year, what happens when 5K Ultimate Fallout 4s disappear?
Yeah,
what does that do?
And it's all the while there are new users coming in who are winning lotteries, and they're getting these secret rares that at one point in time were super valuable. Now kind of aren't. You get it, like I remember my brother got an X-Men 4 ultra rare, and it skyrocketed that day to like 1,000 gems. And now there aren't any ultra rares getting to. I mean, you're lucky if an ultra rare breaks 300. So I think you're going to see these things where people are going to either you'll get your ultra rare or you'll get your rare, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to sell this because I don't. I mean, this week's probably a great example of probably 2 comics that are dropping that people aren't super invested in, with the first Bullseye and the first Mr. Fix-It. If I get an ultra rare or a secret rare in either of those books, I am selling them immediately and reinvesting those gems into an ASM1 or whatever, and that's going to still prop up those books.
Agreed.
Without anybody burning anything.
Yep. Agreed. The lottery system's great. I mean, every time a new person hits a lottery, I actually prefer it over somebody that's been on the platform before, because what are they going to do? They're going to buy their first copy of everything that I own. Yeah. They're going to go and buy the first copy of every single comic that I own and every single collectible key that I own. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah, that's true. He sells he gets if a new guy joins the platform, he gets an SR, gets like whatever, $800, $1,500. He's going to buy some of the cheaper collectibles or comics from other people, right? So it's going to, the money's going to circulate, right? So I guess that's
diversify.
Yep.
Now it's going to get really interesting, because this is the other voice that's in the back of my mind that I try to quiet, but the MCP is something that we're going to have to start considering when this lobby system hits that we're hearing about, and we're vying for who gets a seat at the table.
Stackers are king. In the new world order that's coming, people that stack
I'm really
hundreds
interested
of common items,
to see.
They're going to be king.
Yes, absolutely, for sure. Or like again, the cheap set people who just have still like my group people, the stamps, anybody who's sort of been paying attention to these smaller items and picking them up. That kind of allows you to hedge your bets a little bit. But yeah, like if you have 1,000 items in your portfolio, you know, and you're killing it with, you know, however 800, 500, 1,000 MCP daily. That's
you kind of don't need sets at that point. You know, like if there's a whale with 1,000 copies of ASM1 and 1,000 copies of MC1 and 1,000 copies of Ultimate Fallout 4.1, he has 3,000 items. He doesn't give a shit about sets. He's already ahead of everybody.
Yep. And then so I think it's going to force what we're also going to start seeing is more activity on the feed. So I'm also curious to see if Veve makes improvements to that, because I don't like it. Like I really don't like the way it's not a great social media platform. I almost think it's on purpose, because I feel like if I have the ability to contact you, it's kind of like the eBay thing, right? Where if I can contact you, we can kind of work out a deal, even to, you know, if you have a book listed at 280 and it's in the marketplace and it's been sitting, I don't know if Veve wants me to reach out to you to see if you're willing to drop it another 20 gems so that I can buy it. I think they'd rather me just get frustrated and buy it for 280. So the communication is starting to get pretty interesting. Like you see people all the time posting things like lowest in the marketplace. But it's hard to arrange on that feed a deal if you want to do that.
It's very
a lot of guys use Telegram is probably what they do. That seems to be the general consensus for off. You know.
Yeah, the ability to direct message users would be a huge upgrade in my opinion. That would be step one. Just let me direct message someone and say, "Hey, I like your collectible. Any chance you want to take care of this off? You know, take 10% off, whatever it may be." Right now, obviously, it comes with low ball offers and whatnot, but still, like the ability to direct message would be huge in my opinion. A good step forward.
Yep, and then I need answers for renting. Like I emailed, so I tried to figure out a way to contact Veve directly. I went to their help page. I went to their Instagram. So when Storm first dropped, she wouldn't, like the uncommon would only get so big. And then when Hawk Girl dropped, she was like as big as a hawk. I don't know who got fired for that horrible design flaw. And I'm not saying they listened to me, but I went to their official Instagram page and direct messaged them and was like, "Hey, I spent this money on this Hawk Girl. It's not, you know, it's not the size that it should be, blah, blah, blah." But I could at least message them. Recently, I tried to message them on Instagram and they're not taking messages anymore. I wasn't able to get through to them. So I messaged them on Facebook. I'm like, I need to know what we're going to be able to rent and what that actually looks like. Because I think that's going to, you know, I'm 5 hoverboards in now to I am investing in this idea that someone will have to rent a hoverboard from me. And in my brain, even if it's 50 cents an hour or 25 cents an hour, or maybe a gem an hour would be awesome, but I doubt it would be that aggressive. But if you have 10 hoverboards or 5 hoverboards and you're constantly getting a quarter of a gem every hour from each board because people globally are playing this game and need to use it, it starts to get really interesting, as opposed to buying, you know, the growth stock versus the stock that pays dividends.
Well, I think it's important that they don't tell anybody about that. Yeah. Probably because like whales would come in and buy literally everything, and like we would be able to buy a couple copies maybe before the prices skyrocketed. But man, yeah, they would just wreck everything out of the market if they knew.
Yeah, I think what might be important as the Veverse happens, we have to scope it out ASAP, right? How is it set up? Is it set up like there's a castle and there's a moat, and the only way to go to the castle you need a hoverboard? Yeah, forget. You hit the jackpot, right?
Or is the first mini game they release, is it just like a tiny, tiny room where you can ride a hoverboard, like that simple? Like, is the very first mini game just riding hoverboards?
Could be. Yeah, racing hoverboards. Everybody's got to race to the end, right? Could
Yeah,
be.
just a simple little track. It could even just be a track in a
I
single
think
room.
maybe we should talk about that, like in the future, utility of like collectibles, right? So what utility does a hoverboard have? What utility does what else is there? Those creatures or the unicorns or labbits, right?
Mhm.
So
And how do they differ? Like, how does one hoverboard differ from another? Like, does it go faster? Does it go
Speed,
higher?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yep, speed, how high,
Does it
etc.,
get you into a
etc.
building that another one can't get you in
That's what I was
because somebody thinks it's dope? Like,
While we're talking about speculation too, one thing that excites me about the VVerf is land. I think land will be. I mean, obviously we see Decentraland land is like it's unobtainable for 99% of people, but those that
right.
get in ground
Oh.
floor of Vive, and if it continues to rocket, I'm pumped for land. I think that
I'm gonna for sure buy land. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
whatever I have to do with whatever capital I have to do. Whatever
Yeah,
whoever's butthole I gotta lick is getting
yeah,
licked because I'm getting some
land.
VVverse land.
Yeah, absolutely,
Don't care.
200%.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know what the land the land thing. I know they say is that our vault maybe step in vaults are connected and you can share your vaults, and then all of a sudden they just sort of like, if everybody in our friend group all shared their vault together, well, we would have this kind of like our own little place where we could all be connected and then grow it. But yeah, I don't know, because then the other idea of having the utility of like a Batman NFT may get you access to Gotham City, right? And this is all speculative, but then the question goes back to which Batman does what. There's so many now that we don't know.
It'd be different missions.
Or
It'd be like do
one
the Rissa,
Batman
the
get you
Rissa
one
Batman
place and then another
to do the
man
most
get you
elite
somewhere
mission.
else.
Yeah, if they do the same thing what people did with the board yacht apes, right? Like if you have like Spider-Mans that can give you access to free Spider-Man movies for the year, something like that, they'll make everything skyrocket again, right? So it's a lot of potential. It's definitely exciting, with some of these things like that might happen. So
and like Gary V says, like in what he's working on at Recur and his own projects he's working on right now, like he knows. And he's one of the biggest guys in this whole thing, that utility doesn't have to be added up front. Community has to be added up front. The only thing that matters up front is community. The only thing that matters in this whole platform is community. All the other stuff, utility, levels, burning comics, all that shit that's going to make our collections worth a ton of more money, all that stuff doesn't matter if community isn't here first. Like they need to work on maintaining their community and keeping people happy. And then later on, that utility stuff will be super awesome.
Oh, so actually that's a good point too. So even with comic books, right, I can see them adding more and more features to comic books for us enjoying the experience of reading the comic book. Like the ones that they're missing that I mentioned before was the panel to panel, or maybe having things pop up on the screen 3D, or and other functionality to make comic books so much better than a physical comic book, right? To differentiate it, and people start saying, hey, there's like 20 more features that an NFT comic has than a traditional comic, so there's no more debate, right? Which one is better, right?
What if legit they have like ASM comics can specifically be read clung to the side of a skyscraper, or like Hulk comics can specifically be read at the top of a mountain? Or like where they put you in a small little environment where you can read your comics, because it's
you unlock something if you read it in a mountaintop or something like that, right? Something that's unlocked in the comic book.
Yeah, like with Pokemon Go, they legit had stuff like that where like you go places and that's the only way you could get that certain thing was going to that place.
Oh man, so much potential.
And I guess the only thing I had on that, and I think it's a reason I'm so bullish on comics, is how much easier it is to get utility baked into a comic. I would assume from the development side how much easier it is to get panel by panel as opposed to trying to create a hoverboard that can travel in a video game. I mean, that's massive, 5 years probably out, but comic panels, I mean, that's coming, that showrooms, things like that. And that's why 2022, right? I mean, I can't wait to see. Hopefully we hear something good on the AMA Friday.
Yeah, hope so. Hopefully, at least MTL will be available.
Man, MTL, I mean, I don't care if it crashes catastrophically the prices. Like, I just want it to be real money.
Done. Yep.
Yep.
100%.
Don't care what happens, just need it to happen.
All right. I think Carmen's dialing back. Let's do final thoughts. Who wants to start first? Ray, you want to kick it off first?
Yeah,
Okay.
oh, Carmen? Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Carmen, we're starting the final thoughts here.
Sorry, guys. Go for it. Final thoughts. If I get kicked again, I apologize. You got a snowstorm in Jersey right now that's kind of killing me. So go for it, guys. And if I'm here, I'm here.
All right. Well, final thoughts for me. I'm excited to see January 7th. I want to see this AMA. There's a couple specific things I want to see, right? We know phase 3 of the IMX migration. They said they should have some more updates mid-January. Where are we at on that? We know that they were waiting until after the new year to really start. So I want to see, similar to last time, we were like, hey, we're doing the reminting. We got some solid progress that we could measure. I want to see that on that AMA. I'm excited to see Sean MTL. I'm right there with you, man. I mean, that is number one in my book. I don't care if they stall everything else, but yeah, I think that's going to drive so much of Veve's growth in the near term and the medium term. And then, looking at collectibles and comics, my final thought is I'm interested to see what some of these comics or collectibles that haven't yet followed the trend. Again, Common Spider-Man. Where do we see that in a week? Because everything's changed so drastically in the past 7 days. Superman's, Nightwing's, everything doubled now in the 2K price range from 1K. Where do we start to see some of those, like Harley Quinn's, Jokers, and things like that? So.
And do they come back down during MTL, or is that all just a pipe dream now?
Yep. Nope. And that's I don't know. I'm on the side that I don't think we see a massive split. I think that everyone just starts buying as soon as they have real money. Because
I think it's chaos. I think we see people cash out, and we get a pretend drop in the market where everyone's like this. Oh man, it's happening, it's dropping, and then like literally within a week it's gone.
Yeah.
Yep. Say have a lot of gems. That's all I can say. Be ready. You're gonna see a lot of deals and scoop them.
Be ready, act fast, and believe that it's your only chance.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
Oh.
Sean, you want to go next?
Yeah. Final thoughts. For me, I would say if you have a single item that you've been thinking about getting, I would sell whatever you have to sell to get it, because chances are within 12 months you won't be able to buy it. That would be my advice to anybody. And the same goes for buying Omi. If you feel like you want to have 10K of Omi, chances are the amount of Omi you buy today will be much more for your money than it will be in 12 months. So like whatever you want to do related to the Komi universe, I would do it soon.
All right. Carmen?
Yeah, I would agree. I think we're on borrowed time at this point now. I made a move to buy a C3PO. I made a move to get these hoverboards because I felt like, and I had already had an R2-D2, and I didn't just want to complete the set. I just felt like those items will be, especially the Star Wars stuff, I just think is going to be way far out for me as a fan, like as just a legit fan PC type thing. It's just going to be way too far out for me. It's why I jumped on that Joker train really early, and I came to that Joker late because I didn't even realize he was there, and then saw that it was a Jim Lee Joker and was like, if I don't get this now, I'm gonna pay double for it in a month because of the popularity of what I'm looking for. And that's, I guess, the real final thought to anybody who's asking for advice. The disclaimer, as always, is that this is not financial advice. This is like, if you ask me advice about shooting craps, I'll tell you, play the 5, play the 9, I play the pass line, I do the 3-way crap bet, but I'm not by any means a genius at playing, right? I think the advice that you should take, though, is do your research
100%.
From a pop culture perspective, not even from a perspective of, what do I think is going to be worth money later? Like, do some research on the artists that are creating this content that you're buying. Do some research on the history of this content and then do some research on the communities that support this stuff. And I think that'll give you a better sense of what you should buy than trying to respond to the market, or even just listening to some of the chatter on the Facebook groups, because they can get kind of toxic and nasty, and you're not going to get anywhere listening to them either. So that's it, really. Like, this is the time. You got the month of January to research get all of your pop culture history in to make some moves, and then it's going to get weird.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah, I mean, same with me. I think.
All right, now, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I would definitely take a look at deals. I love deals, right? But I look at two things: deals and also ones that have upward potential. So like, for example, when I bought Superman at like even it was expensive, it was $600 at the time. I still saw easily that it could hit like $1,500, right? So I saw potential there. So take a look at two areas: the deals, and then also look at the ones which have upward potential. And be selective, because we have limited resources, right? So I try to target the usual, the big ones, the FF1, the DD1s, the MC1s, and then also focus on the ones that have first appearance that I believe in, right? Like definitely X-Men's, Spider-Man, the Batmans, definitely ones that you believe in, because I think everybody here is a comic book collector, right? So we kind of know which ones are popular within the community, so we have an edge. So I think given that, everybody should just do your research. Don't go crazy without doing your research. Double check that, hey, you're getting a good deal, and even if it goes down, if you really did your research, you should still say that, hey, I think it will pan out long term, because you shouldn't have gone in just for the short term gains, right? So it should be a longer term play. So don't panic if things go down. But more other than that, just have fun, right? So enjoy the discussion, enjoy tracking the price movements, enjoy reviewing what's coming in the drops, enjoy the ride, and I think there's a lot of good things coming. It's very exciting for us who are technically early adopters, right? So I think the next couple years, this scene will evolve and mature, and there's a lot of potential for exciting things to come.
Cool. All right, so we are in 57 minutes. We're at the end of the show. Any final comments, questions, concerns? No. Anybody who's watching this? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
There's a drop tomorrow, right? Bullseye, right? Is it Bullseye?
Yep, Bullseye and Mr. Fix-It this week.
Bullseye and Mr. Fix-It.
Yep. Anybody who's watching this, give us some comments. Please reach out. NFT Marketplace and Dojo. NFTmpd.com. We've got like a contact email. So if you have any questions or if you have any content that you'd like us to cover, you can reach us there. Other than that, thanks so much for coming to the Dojo, guys. I'll see y'all later.
See ya.
See ya.